Hi, I'm Trevor. I'm one of the magistrates for Judge Puffenberger here at the Lucas County Probate Court. I've been here over 27 years, and today we're going to discuss wrongful death settlements. A wrongful death settlement occurs when somebody passes away. Now, every human being will pass away. When they pass away, usually, and they have some property left over, they have to come through probate court. But when somebody dies because of another person's negligence, or a hospital's negligence, or a doctor's malpractice, or because somebody was drinking and driving and they killed somebody, and it was not the person who died's fault, those are wrongful deaths. And when that happens, usually the surviving spouse or the children of the person who passed away files a lawsuit against the insurance company or the hospital or the doctor. Those are just a few examples. And when they are ready to settle the matter, as opposed to going in front of a jury trial or a bench trial in front of the judge alone, the probate court is the court that has jurisdiction over that. That means this court is the one that settles that matter. The court deals with settling the matter, but not settling the amount. It depends on the nature of the injury. It depends on who the technical word is tortfeasor, but who the bad guy is who did those things. For example, hospitals and doctors have malpractice insurance that allows for much greater returns on when lawsuits are filed, and so you find that those tend to have a greater yield depending on who did the harm. Sometimes it's a company that dumped tons of chemicals into the groundwater, or made people work in an unsafe work environment where they got cancer, etc. And those are also can be wrongful death cases if they died as a real result of that. So the amount depends on what the parties settle on. The probate court settles these cases because the law allows it to. And that sounds like it's a very pat answer, but basically when the parties have decided that they're going to settle the matter, there is a wrongful death packet of forms on our website at www.lucasprobate.org and under the forms section, but it's not something that the average person files. If somebody I thought died as a result of wrongful death, I could not just go and file those paperwork. You have to open an estate. There has to be a personal representative of the estate who then files the lawsuit against the bad guy who did these things. And then when they settle the matter, this packet gets filed with the court to show that they are settling the matter. And then the court reviews them. When we get the forms, a magistrate or judge signs it. It's assigned to him or her, and then the matter is set for hearing. Unfortunately, families, at least superficially, don't get along as well as they used to. It's a lot more open. There's a sort of macabre joke that probate court is divorce court for siblings. And sort of the claws and knives come out at these sort of things. If the family can agree on the amount of the settlement, then it's usually divided according to Ohio law. Without getting technical, there's an entire chapter, 2125, that shows how it's supposed to be broken down and who gets what. And if the parties don't agree, then we can approve the amount of the settlement, and then we set the matter for a further hearing in person in the courtroom, usually with a magistrate, to decide who gets what. Okay, when a person passes away under normal circumstances, not a wrongful death, they often have a surviving spouse, or they have children. Or if there are no surviving spouses or children, they have parents or siblings or uncles or aunts, things like that. But in a wrongful death, it's very specific and to who gets what. It's not the usual next of kin. It says that a wrongful death lawsuit may be brought for the exclusive benefit of the surviving spouse, the children, and the parents of the decedent who have a presumption that they have suffered a real loss at the death of that person. And the lawsuit can also be brought for the exclusive benefit of the other next of kin. Who are the other next of kin? Siblings, cousins, aunts, or uncles. And this can have a lot of implications even in this court when they fight over who gets what, because there are cases, and I'll make this a very, very quick example, where the spouses were estranged for 20 years. They were still married, they never went through a divorce, and yet when he passed away as a result of wrongful death, she wanted all the money as the surviving spouse. and the children had to come forward and testify in court against their mom and say she wasn't involved with them, she didn't suffer a loss, and so it changed who gets what. And so that really does matter, and the court looks at that very seriously. Unfortunately, not everybody dies right away. And I don't mean that in that way. Sometimes it's very merciful that they've passed on, but in a wrongful death situation, sometimes, for example, let's say they got hit by a car and it was a result of a drunk driver who was going the wrong way or something. They sit in the ICU, they lay there unconscious, sometimes in horrible pain for months or days or weeks before they finally pass away. That's called conscious pain and suffering, and it's like a personal injury lawsuit in that sense. She can't file it for herself, so it's part of the wrongful death law that says this much can be allocated to her pain and suffering as if it's a personal injury, and that money will go into the estate as probate assets. But the wrongful death assets, if you want to use that word, proceeds, go to the next of kin as outlined in Ohio law for wrongful death, to the spouse, the children, the parents, and other next of kin. Then the money either gets put in a restricted account, what we call an impounded account, until the child turns 18. If it's a sizable amount, a guardian, a legal guardian called the guardian of the estate of a minor, will be appointed, who governs that money until the child turns 18 years of age, where the money is turned over to him or her. And the last is called a structured settlement. There are structured settlement companies that can put that money that was gotten from a wrongful death for the minor so that it starts paying out at age 18. That way the minor doesn't spend it all at once when he or she becomes a young adult, and it's given out at intervals so they have money for the rest of their life. Like most cases that come to probate court, they involve what we term generally as the best interest. What is in the best interest of people? This is not only a court of law like all of the other courts in the entire United States, it is a court of equity. We find out who needs the most help, and we try to give that help and allocate it so that it smooths the edges of the loss they've just suffered in a way that is manageable in a sense. And that's why the law puts this into the hands of the probate court, so that we can handle these folks with a little more than just a cold lawsuit. And that's what we do.